there's only three reasons why people buy anything, and that is they need it, they want it, and they like you. You got to have two to make the sale. The principles are the same, but some of the strategies are a little different. You still have to make a great presentation. You've got to use words that sell versus words that unsell. And you've got to create a positive mental picture in the mind of the prospective buyer.
With me today, I have Michael Mollenhauer. He's the president of One-to-One Network, host of the Make It Easy for People to Give You Money nationwide radio show and podcast, a sales and marketing expert, a professional speaker, and a fractional CMO. Michael, how are you feeling today?
I'm just doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I think this will be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to get going.
I think so. I think the most fun was learning how to pronounce each other's names.
Yeah. I kept trying to do the French way. But yes. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about your beginnings, because we're going to talk about marketing from perspective of radio, from the perspective of music, from the perspective of podcasting. Let's get to that point. How did you start, and how did you get to where you are today?
Wow. So how far back you want to go? You want to start when I was like 12 and I built an amusement park in my front yard and charged my friends to play with me? That's how it all started. And then my mom made me give back all the money. But I realized, there's money to be made in sales and marketing as long as you present it properly. So I think one of the jump starts in my career was in the olden days. I actually had a real job and I worked for a title insurance company. And I noticed that all the title companies were doing the exact same thing. And a lot of times what they're doing is hiring attractive young ladies to go out and speak with unattractive older men in an attempt to get business from them. And because of my radio background, before I ever get started in this, so I interned at KISS Radio in Los Angeles, and I worked at a couple of radio stations coming up where I was both an on-air personality, but I made more money in selling advertising time. And one of the things I noticed was that all of these companies, these title companies, were doing the exact same thing, and there was no unique selling point or USP to differentiate themselves. So what I did is I called upon my radio advertising and sales background. And this was back when interest rates were like 20% and everything was doom and gloom. The sky is falling. You're never going to be able to buy a house. It's the end of the world, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, let's change that. And so I created a radio show that was it's called, the name of the company, well, it was First American Real Estate Report. And its job was to disseminate positive news and information to kind of overcome the negative news that was out there. I started out with one that I pitched it to the radio station. I said, you guys have you have no presence in the real estate market. It's paper driven at that time. If I can create a show, you put me on the air and you can keep all the money. I just want to be on the air. So they put me on the air. And long story short, it ended up being on the air for 7 years. And it made it easy for me when I was doing my sales calls. I told my clients, I said, if you give me information that I can use on the show, I'll mention you. And long story short is that the show was completely sold out for 7 years. It expanded throughout Central California, created a unique selling point, which then I got called by the local TV station and the charter cable station, and they said, hey, we want to do the same thing. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. And I used to put on real estate seminars with a guy named Mike Ferry. I believe his son Tom now runs it. But one of the things that I learned from Mike was to look at what everyone else is doing and then don't do that because they're all doing it wrong. So I think the basis of everything I do now is to follow that philosophy and to do something that is unique in the marketplace, where I can use the words only or no other can. Like I'm the only marketing guy that can, or no other marketing guy can do this. So that's it in a nutshell. I started my company, One-to-One Network, advertising and marketing, primarily digital advertising, But now I function as a fractional chief marketing officer with a big focus on podcast production and marketing. So I literally set up and create podcast shows for my clients, give them a unique selling point in the office in their competition, and then I give them all free advertising on my radio show. So it seems to be working out well. The end.
There's a
I
lot of
didn't mean
stuff.
to. Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a lot of stuff to unpack in that one because I like the way that you're approaching when you're saying look at what everyone else is doing and do the opposite of what they're doing because you can use the words only or the first one and stuff like that. Do you feel
Right.
like something like that is being lost in the marketing nowadays where people are following instructions and webinars on YouTube?
Yeah, I really do because um, I think that the principles in business, sales, advertising, and marketing, they have never changed. They're the same that they've been for 6,000 years. People don't buy features, they buy benefits, what's in it for me. And I think what's happening now with the advent of AI and all this cool technology we've got is that people are just relying on that and they're forgetting the basics. If you're trying to sell or market something, if you're not making a good presentation and you're not including what is unique about your product or service, it doesn't matter how many flippity doos you've got on the internet and if you're using, your proper keywords and all the social media stuff, you're just not going to close very many sales. So I think people are forgetting the basics of sales and marketing, and they transcend the boundaries of AI and the internet because people have never changed. Or, just talk to me like I'm a person, tell me what's in it for me, and I'll probably buy it. I think it gets lost. Just go back to the basics and give people what they want.
When you're looking at your new approach, which is with the podcast, it sounds like you're putting a lot of these things in, and they are unique and different. Not a lot of people can do a podcast or maintain it and do it for a long time. What are some of the stuff that if someone wants to do it with you, like okay, let's do a podcast, Michael. What should they expect when they start a podcast for their business?
Well, the first thing they should expect is we need to sit down and chat, and we're going to go over your goals. So, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to increase sales, a brand name recognition, drive traffic to your website, get the jump on your competition, or what? And then we're going to discuss who your competition is. What are their strengths and weaknesses versus your strengths and weaknesses? And one of the things I like to do is an online analysis where I can literally determine what the strengths and weaknesses are of their competition. And then we capitalize upon their weaknesses, and like wolves, we eat them and take their market share. you know, and then we need to sit down and we plan it out. And what I tell my clients is, listen, don't write some script. People can tell if you're reading. It's got to be organic. It's got to be natural. Talk to me and as if because I'm the real person. Just talk to me like I'm your customer, and let's just have a delightful, informative conversation. That's what podcasting is. People want to see. They want to see a real person. They don't want to see some sales guy up there jibber jabbering about a bunch of stuff. Just talk to me and present your unique selling point, your features, benefits, but the main thing is in podcasting, it's similar with social media. It's more tell, don't sell. On podcasting, people want information. We're all hungry for information, and you've got information that people want to know about. So tell us, and then we disseminate that information and content through a variety of means. It could be, social media or paid ads or networking, whatever. But that's it. Just be natural and normal and tell your story and let's go get some business.
It feels like people are overcomplicating it and they're trying to come up with all kinds of data or tools or things to justify that they kind of missed or forgot the main principles when it comes to like sales and marketing. What are some of the first things or like things that stand out right away when you talk with someone about make it easy for people to give you money? What are some of the big mistakes that people keep complicating and making it difficult for people to give you
Oh,
money?
well, one of the big mistakes is something we've talked about earlier is they don't differentiate themselves from the competition. There's no unique selling point. There's no way to cut through the clutter. And they don't understand there's only three reasons why people buy anything, and that is they need it, they want it, and they like you. You got to have two to make the sale. If it's something that they need but don't want, but they like you, they may still buy it. Like we were in the grocery store, I see that sticker staring at me. I don't need that Snickers, but I want it. I like the store I'm in. Conversely, a lot of times we will not buy something that we need because we don't like who's selling it to us. I had an occasion where I went into a store to buy an appliance. I did not want to buy the washing machine, but I needed to buy the washing machine. Well, I didn't like the way the sales guy was talking to me, so I went down the road and bought it from somebody else. I even paid more money because I liked the guy who sold it to me. So I think that's one of the main things we need to understand. People don't buy from for businesses they don't like because they don't trust them. You got to have trust. The other thing is there's three steps into any sale. It's prospect, present, and close. And it doesn't matter what medium you're on. It could be face to face, it could be online, it could be in a pay-per-click ad and podcast or whatever. But people think that prospecting is the most important part, and it's not. Prospecting is a numbers game. Monkeys can prospect. You can put a monkey on the street corner and pass out flyers. Hey, want to buy a car? Want to buy a car? Want to buy a car? Somebody will buy the car. And then people will say, well, close is the most important. And it's not. Close is the natural ending to a great presentation. So if you make a great presentation, this is the key. And this is where podcast marketing comes in. It gives you the opportunity to make a great presentation and explain what sets you apart in the marketplace. What is your unique selling point and what benefits are you going to provide to me? So that's it. That's how we make it easy for people to give you money. We make a great presentation. We cut through the clutter with a unique selling point, and people like us because we're giving them information that benefits them.
It is, it's very straightforward. Stick to the rule of three and move through those steps, and you will see the
Yeah.
difference in how things operate. Now, when it comes to the unique selling point, I agree with you. There's not a lot of that. Before there was unique and different things. Now it's just more like this one is cheaper. Like basically that's about it. This one is just the cheapest one. Do you have a framework when you work with people to say, look, this is how we will start creating something that is uniquely yours, moving away from the generic offer that you have right now?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because I would say, well, in every time I ask them what they think their unique selling point is, and invariably they have no idea. Or what they think is a unique selling point is not. It's a feature. They'll say, well, I've been in business for 30 years. Well, that's not a unique selling point because Irv's TV and appliance stores have been in business for 40 years. You know? So what's the benefit of you being in business for 30 years? What are you going to do for me? Well, I know what I'm doing. Well, everybody knows what they're doing. So it's important that they need to discover their unique selling point. And if they can't discover a unique selling point, then I create one for them, going down a list of benefits that apply to them. And then we literally create a unique selling point. And quite frankly, if we're starting a podcast, chances are none of their competitors have a podcast. So that can be one of their unique selling points. And you can have more than one. So you could say, listen, I'm the only car dealer that has a podcast that gives you great information on all the great things that you should do when you're looking to buy a car. And the benefit is we're going to help save you time, and we're going to save you money, and we're going to make it easy and relieve the stress that you all experience when you go into a car dealership and try to buy a car. So it's something like that. So if they don't have one, then we create one for them. And it's never, I've been in business for 30 years. Like, no. That's not a unique selling point. So,
When we're thinking of the unique selling points, I know that you personally have several. It's not just the podcast, you also do things in the music industry. You have a guitar business and you work with a lot of people in the industry. Do you find that this is kind of what people need to start looking at? Like, look at some of the stuff that you like to do, expand, and that it becomes part of your story, part of the podcast, part of those things that are unique about you.
Yes. I would say exactly. So I've been in music my whole life. I was trained from the age of 8 to be a classical violinist. I discovered this thing called rock and roll, so the classical violin went by the wayside. So I've been performing in various groups for a lot of years, and then I wanted to buy this new guitar, so I went to the guitar store, and it was like 4 grand, and I played it. It was a big brand name guitar, and I played horribly. It was awful. And I go, "What's the deal here?" He goes, "Oh, well, we just got it in. It hasn't been set up." Well, how long will that take? Well, that'll take another 2 weeks and it'll cost you an extra $300. I go, no, that's like going, I'm going to go buy a car. And the guy goes, "Oh, did you want a steering wheel with that car?" Well, it should automatically be included. Well, that's another $500. So what I did is I thought I would create a unique. I contacted a buddy of mine who owns a guitar factory, and I go, "Listen, Glenn, this is what I want to do. I want to create some great guitars that can be playable right out of the box." And my unique selling point was, open the box. You don't need any to spend any extra money. You don't need to go anywhere else. This thing is guaranteed to play perfectly as soon as you open it. And so that's what we did. And I started out, I built like 50 of them, and I pre-sold them. Well, orders kept coming in. Before you know it, I'm showcasing at the NAMM show. I'm meeting all these famous musicians, and they started to endorse my guitars. And one of my favorite groups was a classic band called Three Dog Night. And they're awesome. And I'll tell you, first time they were playing my guitars on stage at one of the casinos up in Nevada, and I looked over at my wife and I said, this is like watching your children perform their first concert because the guys are playing my guitars. And just one thing led to another. And so from there, I learned how to better advertise and market a product because I'd normally been marketing services. So this is my first foray into marketing an actual product. And that helped me to deal with clients who are selling for products because I stepped in a lot of potholes. So I learned what potholes not to step in and told my clients, "Oh, don't do that." I've done that with my company. It was a disaster. Do this instead. So that worked out. That worked out really good. That's how everything kind of circles together.
When you're looking at the difference between services and product marketing, what are the main differences from your personal experience, when you did it for the clients and then when you started marketing your own product?
Well, it's interesting because the principles are all the same. You still have to sell benefits, not features. And you have to tell people what's in it for them. And it always helps to have some type of a celebrity endorser, which seems to be easier to get with a product as opposed to a service. I could be wrong. The principles are all the same, but I think a lot of times the sales venues are going to be different, especially if someone's selling a product online versus selling a service. You can still sell it online, but you're not going to be selling. If you're an attorney, you're probably not going to be selling your attorney services on eBay or Amazon. But with a product, you probably will be. And you have to learn how to navigate those online services that actually sell products because they're all different. So that was a big learning curve right there. But that's something that you've got to navigate. So if you're selling a hard product and you're going to be using something like Amazon or eBay or something like that, the benefits and the principles are the same, but some of the strategies are a little different. You still have to make a great presentation. You've got to use words that sell versus words that unsell, and you've got to create a positive mental picture in the mind of the prospective buyer. I used to do an exercise with people when I was doing a sales seminar. So I'd say, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you one word and I want you to tell me what you see." And I would say, "Okay, here's the word. It's car." What do you see? And people would give all kinds of different answers. Oh, I see a red Mustang. Well, I see a Maserati Quattroporte. Well, I see a 1957 Chevy with Krager mags and a Holly 4 bill. So everybody had a different mental picture with one word. So the trick is to use words that sell, that create the positive mindset in your target customer, and keep them on track. I hate to use the word manipulate, but in essence, that's what it is. We want them to see what we want them to see. We don't want them to make up something in their head, which is the wrong thing. Then they get a false perception. So even if you're selling a product online and you've got a picture like of a guitar, you still have to create that positive mental image in the mind of the prospect. And so that's it's kind of a cool thing to do.
It is pretty cool, and I like the way that you're approaching it because you're saying like the same word and use words that sell, not unsell, but the same words mean different things for a lot of people. And sometimes people are hell bent on what they feel like are benefits, but they're actually just features. They're using
Yeah.
words that are not really helping. They're not selling. People are creating their own image in their mind of the product or the service is not the one that you want to present the best, putting the best foot forward.
Yeah.
Would if someone is thinking of like how do I market my product or a service, and they're thinking of these various ideas, how would they incorporate a podcast into it? Do is it part of the broader marketing strategy? Is it a separate approach that you would have for podcasting? Is it different from service to a product?
I would say the answer is no, and it different from a service to a product. What I found lately, and with the advent of AI and podcast marketing becoming such a big thing, is that I have incorporated podcast marketing into all aspects of the standard digital and even some print advertising and marketing. It seems to be the foundation because what it does is it creates content. It's content. Content is like cash. Cash and content are king. And without cash, you don't buy anything. Without content, nobody's going to buy anything from you. So the podcast gives you the ability to create great content that can be multi-purpose across platforms, your social media, all of your different social media platforms, your website, an email, a newsletter. You can even use the podcast marketing like if people still do print newsletters. Well, put it in there and pass it out at your Chamber of Commerce meeting. Hey, check out my podcast and put a little link on there. So I find that podcast marketing for me and what I'm seeing is the basis, the foundation of everything because it transcends the boundaries of everything. The other thing that I like about podcast marketing is that it can be free. It's the only advertising marketing solution I've seen that can be free if you do it right. And you may say, well, Michael, how could it be free? Well, Zivko, I'm glad you asked. That is a great question. It's because now that you've got it becomes a marketable commodity. Podcast, like radio, you can sell sponsors on that. So if you are a car dealer, for example, you create your own podcast, well, you can create sponsors for. Maybe there's a tire company, maybe there's an upholstery repair guy, maybe there's a window repair guy, maybe there's a paint guy. Well, all of these people are potential sponsors. So they will pay you a fee to be featured on your podcast. Now you've got free advertising and marketing. But wait, there's more. What? Yes, there's more. Sorry, the radio's kicking in. We're having fun here. What you can do is not only will they actually cover the fees for your podcast, but now it can become a potential revenue stream. So now you're letting your advertising not only be free, but it's making money for you that you can now put back into the business for other things or expand your advertising marketing. To me, it's the most powerful advertising marketing solution I've ever seen. It's incredible. And I use that as the foundation and basis for everything.
It's very true, and I do the same thing as well. I do use it for short form content. I do use it for creating blogs, emails. It is fantastic because in sometimes what people also don't put in the whole picture there. Sometimes you might talk with your potential client, and they would use that for their own social media and use it on their own platforms. And sometimes they like what they said, or they like what you do. They might say, look, I want to do another one, or they might say, I want to be part of your like a co-host or something, and that expands into partnerships and things happen. Like it's never just let's find a guest and let's talk on a specific subject. Typically, a lot more out of it comes out of it, and it's definitely like a foundational piece that I've been using for long. I know it's
Yeah.
fantastic, and I would definitely recommend for people to give
Yeah.
podcasting a real shot.
There's a hidden benefit in podcasting too, and that is it builds you can have guests on your show. You're building a relationship with a person. Well, from this relationship, there's chances that you can develop that into a source of referrals. And now you've got a strategic alliance with somebody. If let's say that you were to do one podcast a week, and on every podcast you had a guest. Well, now you have 50 to 52 new relationships that you can use to develop your business and network with the people that they know. It, the possibilities for podcast marketing are endless. There's more than just getting on camera in front of a microphone and jibber jabbering about something. It's like, no, this thing does everything. People are hungry for content. And it doesn't really matter what your business is. Some of the most popular ones are health and wellness, legal, insurance, real estate is a big one. Anything along those lines. But it don't have to be just a professional thing. I talked to a guy today at a meeting who's a handyman. He goes, podcast. Oh my gosh, I should do that because I have all this great information that I can show people how to do handy things around their house. And he says, I know most of them will try it and they'll probably get frustrated and they'll end up calling me. But at least they had the information. So I haven't found one business that's not a good fit for podcast marketing. Not one.
I agree. I think we all have watched something simple that we thought it's simple, and then you're like, "Wow, I don't have half of these tools." It is. It took me half a day. So I'm not doing this. Let me just call the guy and like this is yes, Michael. If someone listens to this whole thing, it's like this is fantastic. This is very interesting. I want to talk with them. How do people get a hold of you to work with you?
Well, it's pretty simple. You can call me on my direct line, which is 760-963-7646. You can also email me, Michael, Michael, at 121 Network, and that's spelled the number one, the word TO, the number one network.com. Check out my website at 121network.com. That's probably the best way. Or they could just contact you. You give them my number, and we'll all have a delightful chat.
Absolutely, Michael. I appreciate you sharing all these informations, and I do like your approach to the unique selling point. I think these things are kind of forgotten in today's time, where everything is kind of very, very similar. So I appreciate you sharing this whole information, and I wish you all the best with podcasts.
Thank you, Zivko. Talk to you soon. Thanks.